Hey everyone, I'm currently in Wyoming and this video is like the end of my first month with her and like the start of the second month. I believe it's footage from like 5 or 6 different days, and I am starting to film less and less because I don't have quite as much time to film, and I'm just kind of filming highlights of everything we're doing. So I won't be posting quite as frequent with her videos, but I'm gonna still try to post as much as I can. I'm still super excited to share with you guys how she's doing and how she's progressing. I hope you guys enjoy this video. So Southern California has been pretty hot. This is literally just sweat from how nasty it's been outside. Her tail is kind of all gross. Her mane definitely needs to be rebraided. No. And it's time for promo photos. So these are the photos that are going to be used when they're being advertised online for the auction and just to show what horse every single makeover trainer has. So I'm just getting some footage before I give her a bath so you can see the difference. Her mane is kind of disgusting, and this poor girl is so sweaty she could use a hose down. And I also don't think I've even brushed her tail out yet, so that is on the to-do list. So she got a bath with Espana silk, of course, and now she is super shiny. Hopefully she dries off before it gets too hot and she starts sweating again. So after she got her bath, I went to start taking her promotional photos, and you can see a few of the preview ones that I took. These ones were good, but they weren't exactly what I wanted. So I ended up going with this shot, and you can see I did clean the background of this one up quite a bit. That way it would look a little bit better. But I think she's looking pretty good for about 30-35 days since I've had her. I think she looks pretty cute English, but she does look good in my ranch tack. So this is the next day, and she is getting a chiropractic adjustment.
The only horse I can think of in Sherry's barn that's this relaxed is probably Amos.
Yeah. And she did really awesome. You never know how they're going to react to their first adjustment, but she was pretty good. And she didn't have anything too out of place. It was mainly just minor adjustments, normal things, normal maintenance. But she's in really good shape. I didn't want to film too much of it because I didn't want to be in his way or be weird or anything. I like to do a couple things when I have my makeover horses, and one of them's getting them adjusted. I didn't used to do it, but I've done it for the past few years now, and I really like to do this just because we ask a lot of them and they get a lot of training hours put on them, so I want to make sure that they are as comfortable as they can be. And then the rest of the day I was just teaching lessons. These two ladies made fantastic progress, but I didn't get to do too much with Snooze after her adjustment. And the next day, I hand walked her down to the arena, and I got on and rode her in like the large arena down the road. And she did really awesome. She was a little bit more forward than she was when we were riding in the round pen and at Sherry's. You can see this is near the end of our ride. We rode for maybe 10-15 minutes already. I'm starting to push her forward more with my leg, and we are riding in a bit now because she's held it in her mouth long enough. She knows how to hold it, and I want to make sure I prepare her to wherever she goes after the makeover. Most likely she'll be ridden with a bit. So I want to make sure she has that experience. And then I actually rode her back on the trail, only about a mile or so, but she did really awesome.
No, I wanted it.
She did a super good job today. This was a big day for her. We even had to walk through water on the way back, and she handled it all like a little champ. So then when we got back, I decided I wanted to actually canter in the tack on her since I was riding her out of a small enclosed area. So we went back to the round pen, and I just had Sherry help push her to motivate her. I pretty much was just a passenger up there. I just sat there so she could figure out how to canter while carrying weight. She did a really good job, so I'm just going to make sure that we get a few steps each direction.
Oh, sorry.
I want to touch back on this. The other reason I am riding in a bit is because you can see she already kind of holds her head slightly high and develops a little bit of muscle under her neck, and I don't want that to get worse, so I want to start getting her to develop a top line and get rid of some of that kind of U neck. I don't want her to have a giraffe neck, so if I can teach her how to soften on the bit, that's going to help her a lot, and she'll be able to be more balanced when she moves. But this is pretty cool that we're getting this first canter now. She's having a great reaction. She's pretty willing to go into it. This is where all of that work on the ground comes in handy, where she has the cue to canter.
Good. Walk. Walk. She's like, was that enough? Can I stop now? You can do bridleless. I want to step on a rein.
So now I'm just being silly and just cantering with no hands because she's a pretty safe horse. But that was a pretty good first canter. So now it's the next day, and we got up around 5:30 so I could get tacked up. She looks pretty sleepy. Because I wanted to go back to that big arena again and do another good working ride on her. That is Rue, for anyone wondering. That's Sherry riding Rue, and I'm going to walk in hand down there because I want to make sure that we start in an enclosed area because she is fairly green under saddle, so I don't want to push her and ride her immediately. I want to get to an arena first with fencing, and then we'll ride on the trail on the way back. So I'm letting her get used to other horses riding around her while we're in here. When we were in the arena yesterday, we didn't have any horses riding around. It was just us. So I was watching Rue ride by. There was another horse in here riding. And now today, I'm going to be asking a little bit more of her. So I'm going to really try to push her with my leg into the bridle to get her to soften for a couple steps. So if you notice, my reins aren't super tight right now, but they're also not as loose as they have been. So what I'm looking for is just her to soften through her pole a little bit and lower it some, and then I'll release. I also believe I asked her for her first canter steps. Yep. So that's her first time cantering outside of the round pen. That's literally her second time cantering with me on her. I want to make sure I don't get her into the habit of stopping right after we canter or trot, so it's really important that I keep her moving forward because she's a horse that's really going to like to stop. I'm not too worried about leads right now. I'm just happy that she's cantering out here. Just don't want to run into the barrel.
She's only loped her a couple times, and she only does a few stretches.
Awesome. Good. You can see how she really wants to just stop as soon as they say good girl to her, so I have to really think about keeping her moving.
She's thinking about that one.
And so I'm just going to work her around at the trot. I really like that she's more forward out here and I'm able to actually get some work done with her. I love that stretching down into the contact. That's great. So that's going to be our next goal, is working towards getting that a little more consistent. But that would have been so hard to do in the round pen or a small arena where she's behind my leg, because I have to be having a little bit of contact on the bit for this, but also keep her pushing forward into it with my leg. She moves so cute out here. And I was really happy with her canter. I'm not looking for it to be absolutely perfect. You saw the first time cantering, that was in the round pen. Woo, look at that stop.
Ooh, that was nice.
See, this mare's going to be fun to stop. She's ready to be lazy and stop. That's why I have to be careful with my transitions. But you saw her first time cantering in the round pen, and that was only her second time cantering with me on her, so I cannot complain. She was awesome. We're also working on getting that shoulder over. This comes into play when I was working on the ground with the whip on her shoulder, getting her to lift up and move. Good. So now I'm starting to get her to do that under saddle, but it translates a lot easier because I taught her on the ground first. So I'm opening the rein that I want her to turn into, and I'm closing the rein in the leg on the side I want her to turn away from.
Good girl, Rue.
That's Rue. It's so weird seeing the video from behind Rue's ears watching my new makeover horse. Someone wanted to take a picture of me standing up on her. Sometimes I don't have the best balance up there, so I'm like, I don't know how long I want to stay up for.
walk track, like all the way
And
from
we
the
rode
mailbox.
back. You can see the two other horses that I was riding with in the arena. We're riding on a pretty loose rein and got her to go up onto the stump. She was not the most careful getting down.
That's the harder way to do it, girl. Now you
But I love how
you're
she
all the way
handles
across
herself.
it.
She
Oh,
never
oh.
panics. She doesn't freak out.
Good girl.
She's such a
No
thinker.
panic though. Good girl.
And I did already upload this little clip to Facebook and Instagram, but this is us going through the water. If you remember this is also the same spot that I took her when we were in hand walking the trails. She really likes the water. But yeah, this is only her second time going through it. Her first was on the ride back yesterday. And this time, instead of dismounting on the trail, I decided to ride her all the way back to the property, because yesterday I dismounted before we crossed the road, but I wanted to ride her this time. We have a jogger on our right and a bunch of cars nearby. And that is going to be the end of this video. This is just a cute clip of her following me later that evening, but I was super happy with pretty much every single session I had with her this week. I feel like I made a lot of progress here. We were able to get some more under saddle stuff going, and I'm super sad to be leaving Southern California, but who knows, maybe someone out here will want to bid on her and I'll be having to bring her back out in November.